Welcome back to the channel, not just to the viewers, but also this gun, the Grand Power X-Calibur, the gun that set me on fire to become a lifelong fan of the company and started a massive collection of Grand Power guns. My original is from 2015, shot the snot out of it. Wanted to show you guys, but some things have changed on the gun, so it was time to get our hands on a current production Grand Power X-Calibur. Tabletop review and field strip coming up next on GBGuns. Now I hope some of you are followers of our website, gbgunsdepot.com, because that's where the importer of these, Global Ordnance, just had one heck of a deal in November of 2022, making these things very affordable and too low to pass up, really. Opening up the case, you see we get 3 magazines. There's one in the gun, 2 spares here. And I've run these 15-round Grand Power magazines for years. Not these exact ones, obviously, they're brand new. But just to speak to the quality and longevity of these things, they've been through Front Sight, they've been through Thunder Ranch, all types of use. And have always been good, and I've always enjoyed that they're not a pain in the butt to load. Over here, you see 3 back straps. Gee, I wonder what's on the gun. Up top, underneath, we have a different set of safety levers, federally mandated lock. We have our barrel brush and 2 additional recoil springs. This is handy for tuning the gun. More on that in a bit. And our manual. Now I always take a look at manuals on the channel here because they give us an idea of how well the company wants you to understand the gun. We've got our guarantee, which is, of course, in several languages because Grand Power is in Slovakia. It's a full color manual that does describe things quite well. If you're interested in specs, pause here. And you can see the specs for the various Grand Power models. We also have a full guide to 19, I think, of the Grand Power models that we've reviewed over on gbgunsdepot.com. And full color photographs for the field stripping. Field stripping these things is a little bit different. Not difficult, just different, just has to be learned. And there you've got an exploded view, and you'll notice right there, hopefully the camera's focusing for you, it's a steel chassis. That's one of the things that I love about these guns, and I think part of where their incredible and consistent triggers come from is, for now, I believe 20 years or so, Grand Power has been building all of their firing mechanism in a stainless steel billet chassis. That is something you don't see often in polymer guns these days. Let me get all this stuff out of the way and we'll take a look at the gun. And there it is, still covered in its somewhat tacky, no, it's not tacky, good. Well, and the shipping grease as this thing was packaged up to be shipped over the Atlantic. Beautiful, beautiful 5-inch fluted bull barrel, double action, single action with complete ambidextrous controls. These are just some of the things that made me fall in love with Grand Power. You can see that our magazine release definitely gives it a kick. We'll lock the slide to the rear and tip it upside down, see if that does anything. Yep, you still get a kick. And that, I think, is part of the reliability and ease of mag changes that I've had with these things over the years, including shooting them in sleet and snow, where ice and water and snow and all kinds of crud is building up on the magazines. Never had issues getting the mags out. We can see we're clear there, and you might notice that the barrel did not tilt. If you're new to Grand Powers, this is their signature thing. It's part of what makes it different. The barrel rotates, and not only does it rotate, but as I understand, it's rotating counter-directional to the rifling, so you're not even getting torque. It makes for a very, very flat shooting gun because you don't have weight shifting back and down like you do with the Browning tilting action. It's a rather unique experience. Watch those flutes. You can see the rotation happening in there. Very cool setup. We'll start up at the front. You can see we've got a barrel that protrudes quite a bit, and it is a beefy, beefy barrel. Can't give you the exact specs, but I can tell you that Grand Power machines the smoothness of their barrel surfaces inside to, well, better than half, better than a third of what the European standards are for how smooth rifling has to be. We have footage from our visit to the factory a few years back. Hopefully we'll have fresh footage of their new setup here for you in a couple months. But yeah, just incredible work done there. See, we've got a single slot here. Now this is meant to be a competition gun, so it's not quite your modern tactical, but you can see we've got quite a bit of weight removed from the slide to help reduce that reciprocating mass, because that slam at the end is where most of your felt recoil comes from. The front of the trigger guard is textured for those that like to grab there. Also have this little divot here to catch the finger and help control against recoil all the more. You can see we've got horizontal lines on the front strap, which is how it needs to be since the gun tries to go this way. And all of these contours here. These massive safety paddles are why the gun comes with some smaller ones. If you're fine with these, like wanting to use it as to really hold on to the gun and rest the thumb on top, 1911 style on steroids, that's great. However, they also can get in the way of getting to the slide lock, slide release, depending on your reach and what you like. That's why it comes with 2 sets. We've got a little bit of texturing through here. Wee bit of a beveling, but not really, because, as I've said a million times, double stack, single feed magazines, this is an inverse magwell. Just practice, folks. You don't need a giant magwell on your gun. And backstrap number 4. That's right, Gram Powers come with 4 different backstraps. They do change 3 sides of the grip. You get the angle back here, how far back this sticks, as well as the swell. So it really does contour to different hands well. We've demonstrated in our other Gram Power videos how each backstrap affects my hands, which are double XL gloves, and Miss Tia's hands, which are medium to largish gloves. Now for something I'm really a fan of on Gram Powers, let's take a look at the trigger. So this is single action, double action. Single action is the only mode. I mean, you can fire it from double, but there is no decocker on this particular model. To take a look at what our single action looks like, we have a light take up to a wall, crisp break that flows through the over travel, and our reset, nice and short, right back at the wall. That makes these very easy to shoot quickly, combined with that smooth action and recoil reduction from the Gram Power rotating barrel, and you end up with a gun that is very easy to shoot and shoot quickly. Continuing back with the gun, we look at our slide to frame fit. A little bit of play, but not much at all. And you can see the barrel locks it absolutely tight. More on how that rotating action works when we field strip it. Here's our sight picture. We have a fiber optic front sight post and an adjustable target rear that is spring loaded. So as you adjust, it wants to stay where it's supposed to be. And nice serrated broad rear sight to block out everything but that fiber optic front. Very easy to shoot pretty incredible groups with these. You can also see that our serrations here are definitely deep enough to grab, and you've got plenty thanks to the skeletonization of the front of the slide on that side. Coming to the right side of the gun, full ambi controls. All 19 of the Gram Power models that I've reviewed have had full ambidextrous controls. I love that, not only because I'm naturally left-handed, taught myself how to shoot right-handed because all the guns come right-handed, but if you're ever swapping dominance, practicing using the other dominant hand, this is great. And the magazine release for me, it's just more natural and been more comfortable to hit with my middle finger from this side. That's something I started with Walthers on the P99 with the paddle release, was very easy, and continues here versus having to shift my grip. Now you will notice that the magazine release on this competition model Gram Power is enlarged or extends farther for the right-handed thumb pressers, so you don't have to reach as far, but it's nice to be able to hit from the other side. Next, we'll field strip the X-Calibur and take a look inside the gun. And this is something you may want to pay attention to because a lot of people have said this is hard. I really don't think it is. Field stripping the Gram Powers, like I said, really not that tough. We're first going to check for clear. You can see there's no round in there. Easiest to start with the hammer back, so you don't have to fight the hammer spring. I hook my middle finger on the trigger guard and pull down on the takedown tabs on both sides with these 2 fingers. Then you got to pull the slide all the way back, lift up, and ease it forward like you would on a Makarov or a Walther PPK, something like that, older style, like so. With that, you can see down below, uncaptured spring. The reason why there are 3 springs in there is with this long barrel and this being a competition gun, Gram Power realizes that a lot of the gamers run specialty loads. This gives you the chance to tune the recoil to the load you use. And inside here you can see that steel chassis, and the camera might not pick it up, but right there are the initials of the guy who assembled this chassis. Ultimate responsibility, something that I've seen few other companies do, and when they do, it's something they really boast about. I think that's awesome. If there's a problem with this gun, FGG, you're the one to get blamed. So as far as how that action works, right here, you can't see it roll because it's so nicely polished, but this is a roller bearing. And then in through here is part of where the barrel turns. So we have a nice polished feed ramp. Just gorgeous, gorgeous assembly. And we can pull our barrel out. And look at this beefcake barrel. Beautiful bull barrel. See how thick it is up front versus how thin the rest of it is, with flutes. And that machine surface is what does the pivoting. When these were stainless barrels, that was a mirror polish. I mean, the whole barrel was mirror polish, which is beautiful. And then this collar serves as the locking piece as it rotates. It's really a cool system that, well, the Beretta had something kind of similar, but not quite. It's really something you don't see anywhere else. Looking in our slide, you can see that as much weight as possible has been removed. Look at those deep pockets that have been cut out there. You can also see that this does not have a safety plunger type setup. It's relying entirely on the manual safety and a spring on the firing pin to prevent any drop safety issues. Reassembly is an inverse of the disassembly, and while I'll do that, I'll explain what we'll do in our shooting impressions video, because although I reviewed one of these years ago, our system has changed quite a bit. You will get, first we'll find which of the backstraps works best for Ms. Tia and I. Then we'll do our absolute cold shots, first impressions, which is something that is kind of not fair since we've already shot one of these models, but it'll be new to this gun. From there, we'll do full magazine +1 to show you how the ground power magazines work. Then our trademark What's for Dinner test to run 10 different loads through it. We'll try sights and trigger control, which with fiber optic and that single action hammer fired trigger should be a lot of fun on the spinner. Then some practical accuracy before you get concluding thoughts from both Ms. Tia and I. With it all back together, quick functions check, fires, resets, and there's the double action. The double action is long and heavy, as all double actions are, but consistent and stackable. You can hold it right there for a little more before dropping. Gotta learn this gun. Spectacular guns. These things are absolutely unique. Definitely a head turner at the range, and anyone who's ever shot one usually has trouble putting it down because it just feels great. Between those 4 back straps giving you good ergonomics to choose from, and the recoil reducing operation of this, it does shoot smoother and flatter, which you guys will see in a range video. I want to thank you all for years of support, and thank you for watching. I'm sure those of you that have been on the channel for a while have been like, hey, what about that chamber support test? Yeah, sorry, I forgot on the original filming. Back out here with the same gun, using our Nosler match as always. What we're looking for and listening for is a nice plunk when we drop it in, like that. Make sure it can freely rotate. And I'm looking to see how much brass is exposed beyond that shoulder. And as you can see, there is none. This is one of the most supported chambers I've ever seen on a gun. I wonder if they're able to do that and have it go a little deeper simply because the action type is different. I'm not sure, but they leave enough brass for proper extraction and support the brass as much as I've ever seen done. There we go. Sorry to toss this in at the end. Thanks for watching.